Why did you stop talking to me? Was it because life became too heavy, or because you felt like I wasn't answering you anymore? When your prayers started feeling empty, when your words became fewer, when silence slowly replaced what used to be connection, what made you believe that I stopped listening? Was it the waiting, the disappointment, or the moment you expected something to change and nothing did? At what point did your hope begin to fade and your voice begin to quiet down? Let me ask you something even deeper. Do you really think I turned away from you just because you became silent? Or is it possible that even in your quietest moments, I was still listening more closely than ever before? Because I remember every word you whispered, every tear that spoke when words failed you, every moment you wanted to pray but didn't know how. So tell me honestly, did you stop talking to me because I wasn't listening? I noticed when your voice started to fade, not all at once, but little by little. The prayers that once came naturally began to feel forced. The words that used to flow freely became harder to find. Some days you thought about talking to me, but you didn't. Other days, you started and then stopped. It wasn't that you didn't care anymore. It was that something inside you felt tired, uncertain, even disconnected. And in that quiet, you began to wonder if it even made a difference. But even when your voice became silent, I was still paying attention. I heard what you couldn't say, and I understood what you couldn't explain. My word says, "Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear." Isaiah 65:24. That means your silence never created distance on my side. Even when you stopped praying the way you used to, I never stopped listening to you, not even for a moment. I understand why your voice became quiet. Because it wasn't just silence. It was pain you didn't know how to express. There were prayers you prayed that seemed to go unanswered. Moments when you believed something would change, but nothing did. You held on for a while, hoping, trusting, but over time, disappointment settled in quietly, not loud enough for others to notice, but deep enough to make you step back. You didn't stop caring. You just grew tired of feeling like nothing was happening. And in that hidden pain, you started carrying questions you never fully said out loud. Questions like, do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you still care? But even in those moments, you were not ignored. My word says, I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Psalm 34:4. That means your silence was never the end of the conversation. Even when your prayers became quiet, I was still near, listening, understanding, and holding every unspoken word. I saw the distance you felt growing inside you, not because I moved away, but because everything around you began to feel uncertain. The silence became heavier, and what once felt close started to feel far. You tried to understand it, to make sense of why things changed, but the more you thought about it, the more confused you became. It felt like I was no longer as near as I used to be, like something had shifted between us. But what you felt was not the full truth. Your emotions told you one thing, while my presence remained unchanged. I was still there in every moment, even when you couldn't feel me the way you once did. My word says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. That means in the very moment you felt the most distant, I was actually closer than you realized, nearer than your thoughts, nearer than your pain. Somewhere along the way, a quiet belief began to settle in your heart that I wasn't listening anymore. It didn't happen all at once. It formed slowly, through repeated disappointment, unanswered expectations, and moments where nothing seemed to change, no matter how much you hoped. You began to interpret silence as rejection, delay as disinterest, and stillness as absence. And without even realizing it, you started to build distance based on what you felt, rather than what was true. But that belief was never the truth. I have never ignored your voice, not once, not even in your quietest moments. Just because you didn't see immediate results doesn't mean I wasn't listening or responding in ways you couldn't yet understand. My word says, this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. 1 John 5:14. That means every prayer, every whisper, Every silent cry reached me completely. What you thought was being unheard. But now I want you to hear me without the noise of your doubts, without the weight of what you assumed in the silence. You were never forgotten. Not even in the moments you felt most distant, not even when your prayers felt like they disappeared into nothing. I was not absent in your waiting. I was present in ways you did not recognize. What felt like silence to you was never emptiness to me. It was a space where I was still working, still seeing, still holding every detail of your life together. Because my presence has never depended on what you feel in a moment. You thought I stopped listening when things didn't change, but I was listening beyond your words, into your heart, your pain, your intentions, your breaking points. Nothing you went through escaped my attention. My word says, "The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry." Psalm 34:15. That means even when you felt unheard, you were fully seen. There were moments when you didn't recognize me, not because I wasn't there, but because I was not always in the form you expected. I was there in the delays you hated, in the closed doors you didn't understand, in the quiet protection you never noticed. You kept searching for me in sudden answers, but I was often working in the background, shielding you from things you never saw, guiding you away from paths that would have broken you even more. Now I want to ground your heart in something unshakable, something that does not change with your feelings or your seasons. You may have felt unheard, but my word has never changed about how I respond to you. I do not ignore those who call on me, even when their voice is weak or even when their faith feels small. Every prayer, spoken or unspoken, has always reached me completely. Nothing you ever said in desperation, confusion, or hope was lost in the air. I want you to understand this deeply. Access to me was never removed because of your doubt or your silence. I remained attentive, steady, and fully aware of everything you carried inside. My word says, "Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you." Jeremiah 29:12. That means your prayers were never meaningless moments. They were always received, always heard, and always held in my attention, even when you thought nothing was happening. I want you to see yourself the way I have always seen you, not through your doubt, not through your silence, not through the moments you felt unworthy or unseen. You were never forgotten, even in the times you forgot yourself. Your worth was never reduced because your prayers became quiet or because your faith felt weak. I did not measure your value by your consistency, but by my love for you, which has never changed. Even in your lowest moments, you were still fully known and fully held. Nothing about your struggle made you less important to me. I never stepped back from you, not even when you stepped back from me. My word says, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast? Though she may forget, I will not forget you." Isaiah 49:15. That means your life has always remained in my memory, my care, and my love, even when you felt like you were fading away from everything else. Now listen carefully, because this is the moment everything begins to shift inside you. What you thought was the end of connection was never the end of possibility. You are not too far, not too broken, and not too silent to return. The distance you felt was never final. It was a season of misunderstanding, not separation. And even now, as you are hearing this, hope is still open to you. Nothing about your story has closed in my eyes. I have not moved away from you, and I have not closed the door on your voice. What you thought was lost can still be restored, and what felt dry can still live again. My word says, "Return to me, and I will return to you." Malachi 3:7. That means the moment you turn your heart back, even in weakness, even in uncertainty, I respond with closeness. You are not starting from nothing. You are stepping back into a presence that never left you. Now I am speaking to the part of you that is tired of carrying everything alone. You don't need perfect words, and you don't need to fix everything before coming back. I am not asking for performance. I am inviting your heart. Even if your prayer is just a whisper, even if all you can say is one sentence, I am still listening. What matters is not how strong your voice is, but that your heart turns toward me again. You don't have to wait for the right moment, because I am already here in this moment with you. The distance you felt was never me rejecting you. It was you slowly stepping away while I stayed near, waiting patiently. My word says, "Come near to God, and He will come near to you." James 4:8. That means the return is simple, one step from you, and I meet you fully. Not with judgment, but with presence. Not with distance, but with open arms, ready to receive you again. And now I want you to carry this truth beyond this moment, deep into the places where doubt used to speak louder than faith. You were never unheard, never abandoned, and never out of my reach. Even when you stopped praying, I did not stop listening. Even when your words faded, my attention toward you remained steady. What felt like silence was never absence. It was my presence, holding you in ways you did not yet recognize. Do not judge your connection with me only by what you felt in the darkest seasons. I was still there in the waiting, still there in the confusion, still there in the moments you thought nothing was changing. I never moved away from you, and I never reduced my love toward you based on your silence. My word says, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." Hebrews 13:5. That means even in your lowest point, you were still fully held by me. So now, let this truth not end here. Let it reach others who also feel like they are unheard or forgotten. If this message touched your heart, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more messages like this. And always remember this truth deep in your spirit. I never stopped listening, not even once.